Hey guys, what's up? Majestic Gaming here, and today I'm going to be going over my 7 favorite games released this year. These aren't going to be in any specific order, just 7 games that I really enjoyed playing that also released this year. So first up is going to be Battlefield 1. This is a game that I never expected to like or even consider playing. I never liked any of the other Battlefield games, but I really enjoyed this one. The war stories I haven't played too much of, but the ones I have played, they're pretty fun. The multiplayer also has this great feeling of World War I, with the great weapons and just kind of the sandbox and environment it has. I constantly love playing it, and I also don't usually talk about graphics with games, but the graphics in Battlefield 1 are insanely good and probably the best graphics I've seen this year. It's also nice having a shooter that goes back in time instead of having spaceships and jetpacks in the future. All the different game modes are great, and overall the gameplay is really tight, and now I actually look forward to the next Battlefield game when normally I just wouldn't care about it, but Battlefield 1 is great. I definitely recommend picking it up if you haven't already, and even if you never liked Battlefield like me, give this one a chance or at least rent it or something, because chances are you'll probably like it. My second game is going to be Doom. Now I didn't play this game too much this year, but I really loved it. It's got a great soundtrack that perfectly reflects the game, that is awesome. And all I can say about the gameplay is that it simply is like pure addictive fun. It's fast-paced, addictive, and can even be challenging at some points. It's pretty simple, and the feeling of shooting through waves of demons and ripping their limbs off is awesome. And the multiplayer and other features may not have been too great, like the map editor, but it is cool they included them. But that's not what to focus on. But the campaign basically overshadows it and makes up for it. And Doom is a game that I definitely recommend buying if you love FPSs. Chances are you've probably already played it, but Doom is awesome. I didn't even expect to like it, just like Battlefield, but I ended up loving it, and I would definitely recommend buying it. It's really fun, and the campaign is a blast to play. The next game may be considered cheating, but I'm going to put it on here anyways, and that game is Skyrim Special Edition. Skyrim is obviously a fantastic game that I played around 2013, but I could never really bring myself, like after I got my Xbox One, to turn on my 360 and play it, and eventually I just ended up selling it on 360, but now that I have it on next gen, I've gotten to re-experience the great game all over again. The open world is awesome, and there's so much stuff you can do, and the combat and quests are as fun as ever. I also really love being able to play all the DLC and even play around with mods. One of my friends used to have Skyrim on PC, and I loved playing mods with his account, and I was mad that we can never do that on 360 or PS3. But the fact that I can do this on consoles now, even if it is a little bit limited, is awesome, and the game is as good as it's ever been. I didn't see too big an upgrade with the graphics, but that didn't really bother me because I still think the Skyrim graphics look fine, except for some of the faces, but it's okay because the gameplay more than makes up for it. The combat's great, the stealth is great, all the different characters you meet, the character creator, basically everything about this game that made it great 5 years ago is still great now, and I can't wait for the next Elder Scrolls game. And the next game is pretty much the reason this video is coming out so late. At the time of filming this, it's New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year to everyone, and hopefully we'll get some great games in 2017. But this game's that delayed my list is going to be Uncharted 4. Now, I just got a PlayStation for the first time ever. I've always been an Xbox person. I've never even considered PlayStation, but due to some games that are coming out and just kind of the amount of good exclusives they have, I decided to go ahead and get one. But the point is, I've never played the Uncharted series before. I've heard of it, but I've never been interested, also because I didn't have a PS4. But now I'm really interested in what the game's, like the game series' future is, or going back and playing some of the old ones. Everything about the game's campaign is fantastic. The graphics and cinematics look insane, just like Naughty Dog's other stuff, like The Last of Us, which I also played, which is amazing. Probably my favorite game I've played this year. And I've enjoyed playing every level of Uncharted so far, and it's great. All the voice acting is spot on, and the characters are also great and likable, which is kind of hard to do in a lot of games, but this game manages to do it great. Even though the gameplay is really solid, it always has something to it, and the design of the levels is also amazing. If you have a PS4, you probably already have this game, since most PS4 bundles always come with that now, and it's kind of hard to buy a PS4 without having this game with it, but this is one of the few reasons I got a PS4, and so far I'm not disappointed. And I'm also enjoying it way more than I thought I would, and would definitely recommend it to anyone who's interested in action-adventure games, and stuff like that. My next game that you may not have expected is Watch Dogs 2. The first thing I want to say is if you bought the first one and were disappointed by kind of the bleak characters and tone, then you'll probably love the second one. It's got a fun tone to it and cool characters that I expected not to care about, but were actually pretty cool. I've enjoyed playing all the missions so far, and so far I've seen a pretty good variety of them. The way you can use all the different equipment is awesome. There are so many different hacking options. Everything from the first game is pretty much improved upon in this one, and you even get, I'm not going to really consider this a spoiler, but you even get a cool mission, side mission where you get to team up with Aiden Pierce kind of from the first game, and that was really cool. but there are so many new hacking options, the different things you can do, the combat's also pretty good, and the new gadgets like the quadcopter and the jumper are also a blast to use, and just make for, I guess, more varied gameplay. Also, the setting of San Francisco is enjoyable and fun to drive around and hack civilian cars. This is probably the worst technically game on this list, but nevertheless, it's a blast to play, and I would definitely give it a try if you're at least interested, and were possibly disappointed by the first game, which I very much was. So now we're at my two final games, and these games were probably my favorites of the year. First is going to be Titanfall 2, a game that I had no expectations for, but was completely blown away by. This did everything that I think a sequel should do. They pretty much directly listened to the fans that people complained about from the first game, and they gave us everything we wanted in a fantastic game. This game included a campaign which was unfortunately lacking in the first one, and this is actually one of my favorite FPS game campaigns I've played in years. Each of the 8 missions felt unique. It varied from wall running to full-out Titan combat to cool stuff with a time device that you got to travel back and forth. All the missions have so much replay value that I've already started replaying it on the hardest difficulty. The second I finished it, I loved it that much, and the gameplay and level design work seamlessly together in incredible levels that are varied and a blast to play and that completely surpassed my expectations. And I also love playing the multiplayer, and the combination of the Titan combat, pilot combat, and the free running is also fantastic in multiplayer. You should definitely buy this game if you haven't already. It's a great FPS, one of the better ones this year, and I would definitely recommend it because it's fun. The campaign is way better than I thought it would be, and I would just definitely think it'd be a good buy if you're into these types of games. And the final game you probably guessed already is going to be Overwatch, a game that I didn't want to play or even have an interest in until the beta. I didn't really like the art style, I didn't really like hero shooters like Team Fortress 2, that kind of thing. I never really cared, but there's not much I can say about Overwatch that hasn't been said already. But the hero team-based combat is perfect, the art style is great, and the heroes are actually pretty interesting and cool to learn about. What I probably love most about this game is how much I enjoy playing it, just how tight the gameplay is, and how it got me interested in a game like this when I never would have cared before. And the fact that they continue to update it with seasonal content always keeps me coming back. Everything about the game is awesome. The only thing that may be lacking is kind of the price range on consoles because we have the Origins Edition. So that's kind of the only negative, and really there's nothing else besides the multiplayer, which I know a lot of people were angered at one game of the year because it only had multiplayer, but that should show just how great and polished the multiplayer is in this. So I hope you guys enjoyed my list. I definitely would recommend you pick up I would recommend you pick up all these games, but hopefully you agree on at least one of them that they're the best of the year. And I also wanted to mention some games I'm excited about the release next year, which include Ghost Recon Wildlands, Spider-Man PS4, Injustice 2, Last of Us 2, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So I'm really looking forward to those games, and I'll probably be covering a lot of those games in future videos. I also want to say sorry for the lack of videos lately. We've just haven't really gotten a chance to do a lot, and there hasn't been much news on Halo stuff, but as we get into the new year, we'll probably get lots of news on that. And just looking way into the future, we've got E3 next year, which I can't wait for, and tons of awesome new games releasing. And I'll also be covering probably more PS4 content now that I've got one, and I can cover more of the awesome games that are going to be releasing for that. Alright guys, so thank you for watching Majestic Gaming.